What's up, everyone? This is Mark D'Amico. I just want to say thank you for giving us a listen or a watch. And please do not forget to rate, subscribe, or review us. We appreciate you giving us a listen. And here's the next episode of View from the Rafters, behind the scenes with the Boston Celtics, presented by FlexCar. What is up, everybody? Mark D'Amico here. It is hard to believe that Season 4 of View from the Rafters is coming to a close. We do have one more episode coming out next week, and we might have a bonus episode coming out a little bit later, closer to the NBA playoffs. But for now, as we do every year, we want to give you guys our greatest hits. This is our greatest hits album of Season 4, and we're going to start out with our very first episode of the season. This was recorded back in late November with newcomer and Celtic starter, all-defensive performer, Jrue Holiday. And Jrue, we talked about a lot. We talked about him coming to the Celtics, him moving to Boston, his time in Milwaukee. But the key segment that we took out of this, and the funnest part of the entire conversation, was when he talked about his family. Why? Because he's got two brothers who play in the NBA. He's got his wife, who is a two-time gold medalist for the U.S. women's national team in soccer. It's in his blood, athleticism and competitiveness. And that's what he talked about in this conversation, particularly with his wife. Okay, these two go at it. They can't even play board games together, and competitive nature with his kids, and he talks a lot about that. And then after that, he actually gets into the very first matchup with his former team, the team he won an NBA championship with, the Milwaukee Bucks, and during that game, drawing the assignment of defending his good friend, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I do want to dive deeper into, you mentioned your wife, Lauren, soccer superstar. What is it like? I mean, she's got what? 2 gold medals.
2 gold medals, a World Cup gold.
Are you rubbing that in?
2-1? Who's the most athletic person in your family? Is she?
I've always heard pound for pound it was my wife.
What do you mean heard? From who? From her?
Nah, because, we trained together. We had some of the same trainers. We pretty much do everything together. So
that's awesome.
A lot of it would be like pound for pound her. I'd probably agree.
That's the smart decision.
I would say you say that begrudgingly, yeah.
Nah, yeah, we, especially like in the beginning for us, I mean, we couldn't play Uno. We couldn't play Phase 10. We had to be on the same team when we did things. But even times like we played spades and we're on the same team, and let's say like I'm having a great game, and my wife is the one who's actually messing up. But the one thing I do wrong, she's on me. And I'm like, I've been so nice. Right, I've been so nice to you because like you've also been messing up way more than I have. But you want to like get after me after one thing. But that's honestly that's her. That's her, especially when it comes to me.
Abby, is that not?
That sounds fun.
Is that
absolutely
marriage?
That is,
right there?
yeah, that's her right.
Yeah, but yeah, she's a beast. And those are just like the big things. She was MVP of the NWSL. She won 2 championships in NWSL. She was Player of the Year, I think, in 2011.
No, she's amazing.
She went to the Final Four all 4 years in college. She's in the Hall of Fame for the national team and at UCLA. So like I'm playing a lot of catch up, but I've been there for quite a bit of it, and I think that's been really cool to experience and like really just be a fan of hers and just kind of be all of her. So it's cool.
That makes me smile. Have you seen that play out in your kids at all yet? Because my oldest daughter, yes, is not competitive at all, and it drives me crazy.
My daughter is competitive.
I was going to say, reading your face, I think it's like overdrive, probably.
Yeah, I think my daughter is a mix of me and my wife, but a lot of my wife, where she does not like losing. She can kind of rub it in your face, too. My wife's a bad winner and a bad loser. She'll tell you. And then my son is the same. He's a competitor, too, where they'll be running from here to the door, and JT would be like,
JT's your daughter.
JT's my daughter. Hendrix my son. He'd be like, I win. He should be like, no, I won. And it's like, my daughter's 7, and Hendrix is 3. Like, she's smoking him. So no, I win. And then they go back and forth. He starts to cry, and I'm like, all right, bro, you lost, but like, all right, let's just say we both won. But after a while, I'm like, no, dude, you lost. Like, you're gonna have to learn to lose. You have to work harder.
Yeah. But at some point, he's gonna cross to the other side. He's gonna start winning.
Let her have her time now. I mean, you never know. My sister was a beast too, so we got into it a lot.
Did you know you were coming into a place with so many Hendrixes?
I did not. I thought that. I mean, up until here, I'd never met a Hendrix under.
Really?
Under 20?
Yeah. So just to clarify, your son is Hendricks.
Mm-hmm.
Derrick White, his eldest son, is Hendricks.
Mm-hmm.
Phil Pressey, the new assistant coach, has a son named Hendricks. And then
we just lost one.
Rob,
we just lost one. Yeah, Rob Williams had a son named Hendricks.
I just want to say my son is the oldest.
For the record. Yeah.
You were first.
I was first. Not that I'm competitive at all, but no, I think Hendricks is a cool name.
Yeah, where'd it come from for you guys?
So we were actually going to name him something else. There was this little.
Can you reveal it?
Yeah. There's this little boy. Just randomly, I think we're in Kansas City where my wife was playing soccer, and there's this little boy. His name was Riot, and I'm like, and I loved him. He was fun to play with. We were playing outside. We were playing in the pool. We were doing everything. Like when I have a son, I'm gonna name him Riot. So in the bubble, I think my wife might have been like 6 months pregnant or whatever when I went to the. I know. Crazy stuff happens when my wife is pregnant, so that's the last time she was pregnant. She's gonna be pregnant. I'm like, yeah, right. It was pretty much set. And my wife's like, what about Hendricks? And I was like, dang, that's a cool name. That's a cool name. So then we ended up not deciding yet, and we went to after Hendricks was born, the nurse came in, and she's like, all right, you need to know a name. My wife was like, what name do you like better? She was like, Hendricks. I was like, all right.
Love it. I haven't told you this. So I just had my gender reveal the other day on Thanksgiving with my wife. But prior to that, thank you, we didn't know, obviously, if it was going to be a boy or girl. And she just randomly threw out, she was like, what about if it was a boy Hendricks? And I was like, no, like, it can't happen.
Oh,
That's a
come
great
on.
name.
Why not?
It's a great name. Yeah.
I just feel like, number 4 on the team.
Is it with the X or is it with the CK?
I think it would have been with an X.
With the X, like Jimmy, yeah.
Is yours with a CK?
We don't have to worry about that.
X.
Okay.
That's with the X.
And is it confusing with JT and JT, your daughter? And JT, now that you hear JT so much around?
No, never that. I think my daughter, I call her, I have a million names for her.
Yeah.
But, my son has JT shoes, and it says JT on the shoe. So for the longest time, matter of fact, they came to the Milwaukee game, had the shoes on, and saw JT or whatever. And my son's like, no, these are my sister's shoes.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. So those are. Sorry, JT.
Yeah. Do you let her have it?
Yeah.
He didn't argue.
No, I didn't.
He's
argue.
a dad.
I didn't argue. No, not with her. And she's a lot like her mama, so arguing with her is.
It's a lose-lose situation.
Not the best use of your time or energy.
Right. She's gonna. Yeah.
Let's dive into that game, because I want to ask you about that experience of you win a title with Milwaukee a couple years ago. Now all of a sudden you're on. Borderline the arch rival during your time in Milwaukee?
Definitely. Even before I came. Yeah. Before I came, I think the Celtics beat Milwaukee.
Some crazy series, 7-game series.
Right.
There was some nuts stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching that. So yeah, there definitely was this beef. There was a lot of beef.
Did you feel it?
When I first, yeah, for sure. It was 2 top dogs in the East.
Yeah.
Like the 2 top teams every year.
And they were both rising, right? They were both trying to get there.
Yeah, and it was
unfortunately you got there instead of us, but
yeah. You guys got there the year after us.
Yeah.
Just couldn't finish it, but hopefully we get there again.
Yes. Let's go. That's what we
But
want.
it was definitely a fun rivalry. I remember going up against JB and I'm like, man, this dude's good. Cuz he was kind of like my matchup. Strong player, super athletic, and every time, like one of the first plays of the games, he would just hit me, like hit me in the chest or hit me somewhere, and I'm like, "Are you
trying
good?"
to send a message,
right, bro? Like, are you straight? Every game he would do it, and I'm like, I like that because like a lot of guys can tend to back down when I'm guarding them. And JB is just not that type of person.
Did you guys talk about that when you got here?
I was saying he did that to you the first practice too, didn't he? One of those first 2 practices?
Yeah, so it's that competitive nature that I feel that makes everyone better, but especially the person you're going up against makes them better and even more connected because at this point I'm like, if you're going to do this against me, I know you're doing it against them,
Yep.
But I don't think I've ever talked to him about that.
You got to bring that up.
I probably should.
What was that game like, though? Now you're on the flip side. Mm-hmm. You're with the Celtics. You're trying to take down the guys that you won the championship with. What was that like the first time getting out there? We're recording this in late November, so this was recent. But what was that like?
It was fun, and we got the win.
You tried to downplay it, though.
I think everybody just hypes it up. I think everybody hypes it up. Literally for
Do you
me,
not feel it as much as we feel it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
that's part of the
so
job.
strange to me.
It is. I really think y'all feel it more than I do. Like,
Really?
I am super close to them, and so just seeing them makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
You're
But-
friends. That was clear.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you went in the locker room before the game.
Yeah, we were
and-
super
yeah.
close, and that's enough. But in practice, I still wanted to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
Any type of game that we played, I still wanted to win. When we played wiffle ball or when we played like pickleball, like I still wanted to beat them.
Sound
so
like your daughter right now.
Look, I sound like my household. So like going up against them, it was fun to see them and it was fun to do all that. But like when it comes to the court, I'm trying to win. So I also get excited about playing against or even like guarding them, the guys that like I know their game, like front and back.
Better than anyone.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I feel like not that I have the advantage, but I have the advantage.
Yeah.
Like I was literally in the locker room with y'all not that long ago.
Right.
So I think, and again, maybe I'm just different in that way. I know a lot of other people would have been like revenge game and all that. Like, yeah, I wanted to beat them, and also wanted to beat them because they're a top team in the East. But like, yeah, I wanted to beat them.
Because that's your natural instinct.
It's my natural instinct, and because they're my friends. I like beating my friends. I have two brothers in the league and a wife.
You love to beat
and
them.
I love to beat them.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what makes me happy. So, but yeah, the hype around it for me is just too much. That makes me uncomfortable because it's like maybe they want me to be angry about it or something like that, and it's like, nah, I was never angry about
That's
the
not in
trade.
your nature.
I've been traded before. I've been traded without knowing before. But beating them and kind of setting the tone and like letting them know, like, yeah, we here. I like that. So.
And defending Giannis, like, did you request this or did Joe assign this?
You know, I don't remember. But I think it was kind of like when they told me I was like, fucking right. Excuse me.
That's
like,
all right.
yeah,
We're
like,
good.
right.
We're on YouTube. We can say whatever we want.
We can edit.
I was like, right, as I should be. But again, it's not like the first time I've guarded Giannis.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like but I think kind of at this level we're like that's my man's. It's it just makes it more fun. I feel like it's because I know he's gonna come at me the same way. Like I know he's gonna compete against me the same way. So he also knows that about me. So it's I don't know. That's what makes this league fun is like the talent, the brotherhood, and really just going out and competing like that. So.
If you thought Jrue Holiday was the only Celtic starter we got on the podcast this season, you are very wrong. We got 3 more starters on the pod, and the 2 that we're going to reference right now are Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis, cookies and cream, as we've come to know them. They came on the pod just last week for episode 10 of the season, and it was only 18 minutes long, but those 18 minutes were packed with laughs, with smiles, with jokes, with inside stories about these guys riding in the car together to games and practices, because as you know, they do live in the same building. And that's the part of the conversation that we're going to look at right here. Learn about Kristaps Porzingis driving a 1999 Mercedes-Benz that sometimes doesn't start, that sometimes runs out of gas on the side of the road at 4 a.m. after the team got back from a late flight. Listen, you've got to tune into this part and just see the chemistry that these guys have off the court and how much they love each other's personality.
How did you guys become such fast friends?
I don't know. I think it was natural. We sat together on the plane, so obviously we started talking.
What's crazy about that? KP comes and like sits in my seat. I've been sitting in the same seat on the plane for like the last 4 years, right?
Yes. No, trust me, I understand. Team plane and the dynamics.
You got your space, right?
Same spot.
It's your spot.
The last 4 years, KP comes in, walking in.
First trip.
Brother. brother. That's my seat. I'm like, because it's KP, I allowed him to do it though.
Wow.
He said that to you?
I gave him my
he
seat.
told you that was his seat.
He told me that was his seat.
Wow.
He asked me if I could politely sit to the next one because he felt more comfortable sitting close to the window or something like that.
No,
is this
at first you were like, whoever gets here sits in that seat first. That's what I said
That's
first.
what you said.
All right,
but
that's true.
after that, you were like,
But then
all
I
right.
just let you have it.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
That was very kind of you.
It's a
Good
big
teammate.
picture, you know what I mean?
You're thinking long term.
KP's important to what we're doing over here, so I want him to feel comfortable. So if you wanted my seat on the plane, hey, brother, it's yours.
But also, Kristaps, why is that seat so important to you that you walk in and you're like, yo, that's mine? You're in a new spot on a new team.
Claiming your space.
Yeah.
That was the most important thing for me coming to this team.
That's true
I
though.
have to get that seat. No
Where you
matter
sit
what.
on the plane is like important though for like the vibe of like everything.
That is true.
A lot of people will attest to that. People will show up early. Like,
Did you start showing up early to get the window seat?
Nah.
Okay.
I couldn't show up early if I wanted to.
That's just you.
But nah, KP was there. And it's like, that's the seat he wanted. That made him feel the most comfortable. It's yours.
So far, it's working out. Who offered to drive for the first time?
Oh, man, we have stories.
Let's go. That's why
That's
we're
why
here.
we're here.
Give us the cookies and
No,
cream
wait,
stories,
wait.
please.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Hey, it
No,
happens.
we're going to keep that one. Hey.
Tell us
Yeah.
when you
No, we
can.
gotta go,
Tell us
we
when
gotta
you
go.
can share
Listen,
some public
it's not-
consumption.
this was on my list of what I had to ask is a story from one of those rides. You don't have to tell the one that you're saying right now you don't want to tell, but there's got to be something you can give us, right?
No, we live in the same building, so it makes a lot of sense to just carpool, at times, you know what I mean? Or, to ride back from a late game, you get in late, you know what I mean? Usually I have either a car service, but if you want to save a couple of dollars, just ride with KP. I thought that was a great idea.
Oh, okay. I see.
For the most part, that is smart thinking, right,
Okay.
everybody?
Yeah.
Until you realize,
It's efficient that way.
KP drives a 1986 BMW.
Stop. This is
Mercedes.
Stop. Not BMW.
But what's the
This is
year?
big-
That was an
big difference.
insult.
What is it?
But is it like a
Mercedes.
classic car or is it
Classic.
just
But
Okay.
it sounds
It's-
good until one day it just doesn't cut on. Like, I
right?
remember the first time
well,
I
and
rode
that's
with
what I
KP.
mean, like
Wait,
creature comfort.
this really
Do you have seat
happened?
warmers?
Yes. So like,
The car did not turn on.
But this is where this is my fault. I don't even blame.
I'm
KP.
gonna fix this story. But go ahead.
There's always two sides.
This is where it's my fault because like a couple games before this day that we were gonna discuss, like I ride with KP and like I remember getting in the car and I'm like, it's cold outside. I'm asking like, is it gonna start? So he gives me that look like, yeah, like it's gonna start, but it's like an unsure yeah. And like he turns the car, he puts the key in and he turns it. And it comes on, and he's like, yes.
He's like,
He's
see?
like-
I got this.
He really wasn't
No,
sure.
no,
So,
no,
like,
no.
So you're saying you jinxed it.
So he wasn't sure that day. That's the thing. Like, I don't want to ride with somebody if you're not going to be sure if it's going to
He
cut
had
on or not.
experience of it
That's
not
fair.
turning on, is what
He
we're
wasn't
saying here.
confident in it.
No. The thing is, like, it's a 1999 car, but it's so quiet and it just runs so smooth. I couldn't tell if it was on or off. I was like, is this car on? And he's like, brother, what's happening? I'm like, no, it's on. Hold on. And so I was a little confused, because it runs so smooth, So what happened was the car is perfectly fine. The only thing that's a little bit like janky is like when you can see the gasoline, right? Looks like it's like
Yeah.
half
Yeah.
tank, for example. And all of a sudden it goes down like super
I've
quick.
had that happen with
So,
my speedometer in a car before,
this
where
is-
it just like, let's go. And
This
it
is what
just
happened.
goes
And
all
I got
way
in the
down.
car and I knew from the last time I rode it was kind of on the low side, but now it looked like fine. So we're going home.
Oh my God.
And you can imagine
Are
what
you
happened.
serious?
And it was like the latest we've gotten back from a trip like this season. It was like 5
No.
a.m. or something, 4 a.m. And of course, we get stuck in the coldest weather
You're
on the road.
kidding.
You ran out of
Was
gas.
that the one
the
after
side
we
of the
sat on
road.
the plane for like 5 hours too?
I think so.
think so,
I
yeah.
think so. That's
And then
what it
you
was.
ran out of gas?
That was
Oh,
that
wow.
night, yeah.
So
It was a good adventure, though.
Who do you
What'd you
call
do?
when you
Yeah,
run
what
out
happened?
of
It was
as NBA
cold.
players
I'll
on the
take the
side of the
blame.
road? Who do you call when you run out of gas at 5 in the morning?
We called Kara.
Karakina?
Kara.
We called Kara
Oh my
Kina.
God, you know she
Thank
answered.
God for Kara. She, there's nothing a lot that she could do, but she was at least there on the phone to support
Emotional support while you waited for AAA.
while we waited
Oh
for.
my God.
I guess we just left it there, but
Waited
this is
for a
where I
ride.
take responsibility. Because one, the trip before, I seen the unsurety, and I still put myself in that position.
No, right. So you're only blaming
So
yourself.
I have to blame me. I
But
take
then
the
that means you would have left Kristaps out there all by himself.
That's
if you
true.
weren't there.
You know what?
This made the connection even
Yeah.
stronger.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's when cookies and cream really got to the next level.
True.
It kind of makes sense why those guys get along so well on the court now, huh? Yeah, they got quite the relationship off the court. Now, this next guy that we're going to look at in the podcast season is Isaiah Thomas. I've been trying to get him on the podcast since we launched 3 years ago. We finally got him, and we had to talk about the most epic performance of his entire career. 53 points in Game 2 of the 2017 Eastern Conference semifinals. And this was not only epic because he put up 53, but he did it on his sister's birthday, who just passed away about 3 weeks before this game. So a lot of emotion was in this episode, but this particular part of the conversation was about how he got his tooth knocked out in Game 1 of that series, and then came back just a couple days later after 13 hours of oral surgery and put up 53 on the visiting Washington Wizards.
I got to go to the dentist directly after that game. So little do people know, I stayed 6 hours after that game in the dentist. That day. So they were wiring my thing shut, trying to figure out if they're going to do, trying to figure out what they're going to do with my teeth. So then the next day, I go, they give me all the meds, they numb me up, I go home. I can't even really open my jaw. My left side of my mouth is like swollen. The next day, I got to go in for 7 hours. So next day.
So 13 total.
13 hours of dental surgery between game 1 and 2. So they put a temporary in my mouth. Temporary, they try to figure out how to, how my teeth look. They put a temporary in there. I played game 2 with a temporary. And then I don't want to go past that. So like you might want to talk about game 2, but in between games 1 and 2, I was 13 hours in the dental chair. And from that day on, like I'm scarred from the dentist.
I was just going to say, you never want to go back to the dentist.
Like, even when I go, like it could be the most simple thing. I'm like, can I go to sleep? Can you put me to sleep? Because I'm scarred from, like I wasn't put to sleep those 13 hours. It was just.
You were awake for the whole thing.
Trying to be young and try to fight through it. And that's the only thing I could possibly do. And that was probably one of the craziest moments of my life. Like having to deal with that on top of trying to beat an actual NBA team in the playoff in front of the world. Like dealing with, my sister's passing. Like it was so much going on top of, my hip. Like I was fighting through that. So it was just so much going on with me having to, just try to figure it out on the fly.
Some of the pictures from that game, like I hope you've got them printed and hung up in your house when you're smiling and you got that giant gap between your teeth. I mean, it's priceless.
My kids talk about, like, even my daughter, she wasn't there at that moment. She laughs about it all the time. Like she laughs that my teeth, if my teeth are fake, like all of that. Like she thinks it's a joke. So it's all fun and games.
It's all fun and games, especially after what you did in the next game. So a couple days later, you go into game 2, and it's even more emotional because it is your sister's birthday that day. And all you did was walk out on the court, and legitimately, like I said this at the start of the episode, that was the most emotional, magical performance that I have ever witnessed with my own eyes in person in the NBA. And I've seen a lot of basketball. That's at the top. I don't know how you did it. I don't know how it came to happen. And that's what I want to ask you. Like, how did you go through what you had gone through the previous couple weeks, then 13 hours of dental surgery in the last couple days to come out and put up 53 points to take down the Wizards that night? How did it happen?
I don't know how it happened. Like it was just one of those games where like it felt like I was really in the gym by myself. It felt like I was working on moves by myself. It felt like I couldn't hear anything. Like I wasn't hearing the crowd. I wasn't hearing anything that was going on. I was just so locked in, not necessarily at a moment of the game. It was like, this is a big day for my family as well. Like, it's my sister's birthday. She just fasted a few weeks ago. So it was very difficult for me, but it was bigger than that actual game for me and my family. So I was just in a zone. Like, that's a zone I've never been in. I tell people, my friends, like, if you ever seen the movie The Sixth Man, like with Marlon Wayans, I think it is, that's what it felt like. It felt like somebody was there with me. It felt like when I got in the zone later in the game, it felt like I was at the YMCA with my sister like I was when I was a kid.
You know what I said that it looked like? And, take this as you may, but it looked like angels in the outfield. It was like you were being carried, floating in the air, doing, like I said, like something that my brain could not understand how you were doing this. But that's what it looked like to me. It was like you were just floating out there. Didn't matter who was in front of you. It was going to happen.
It didn't matter. Like that was perfect description of it. Like Angels in the outfield. It felt like I was there by myself, but somebody was helping me. Like it was their moments I can't even describe. Like I've scored 50 in the NBA a few times. I scored 50 like in my life a lot of times. Nothing like was like that. Like every shot, every time I touched the ball, it didn't matter who was on me. Like they were guarding me 2 or 3 guys at moments of the game. I wasn't even seeing anything. Like every moment, it like when I look back at it, every moment it felt like got bigger and bigger every possession. And when I was doing it, it was like I was there by myself. Like I didn't see the fans going crazy. I didn't see my teammates going crazy on the bench. Like I didn't see none of that. I was just doing moves I always did and just getting to my stuff. And it was obviously the best moment of my career because I could picture my sister like smiling like, Dad, you're just doing what you usually do. And then like my parents, I could see my dad probably, even though he was going through the worst time of his life, I know he was probably smiling at the TV like, damn, my son is doing his thing on her birthday. So like, I didn't have no emotion in that game. If you see every basket, like I didn't even smile. Like I was just, my mouth was super big. Like I was just running back. I was just running back every time because like I told you before, my body was there, my mind was somewhere else. So like anything that was happening was just, I felt like it was just supposed to happen like it was.
All right. I told you that we got 4 of the 5 starters on the Celtics, and here comes the 4th one. Derrick White came on the pod this season with his dad, who has become famous on Celtics Twitter, Celtics X, whatever you want to call it. Richard White, he is Ramblin' Rec 34, so if you want to catch some of his commentary, feel free to follow him on X. But this conversation was all about the father-son relationship and how his dad has followed him and helped him raise him into the player that he is today, a true team player and the perfect complement to Boston stars on this team. And this part of the conversation is about how Richard actually raised Derrick into the player that he is today, the perfect complement to Boston stars. Derrick talks about how Richard helped to raise him on the court, helped to raise him off the court, the memories that they shared together throughout. And there's one story in particular that Derrick tells in this segment about one day when his dad was really struggling to get up and down the court, but his dad had to be on the court. That was the only way that Derrick could actually play in that game. So take a listen.
He's talking about how you're kind of like willing to take on any role. And earlier you mentioned that he's kind of the person who instilled the winning mindset in you. How did he impact like the way that you approach the game from a young age until now?
I mean, I think we always watch games together. Growing up as a kid, so just like hearing what
Nuggets
he was
games?
saying. Yeah, mostly Nuggets games. So just hearing what he was saying, and then like anytime I ever wanted to go shoot or something, like he was always down to rebound for me or whatever it needed to be. I don't know if I ever told you this, but we were playing at Lifetime, and like he was kind of yipping up and down the court, but like just to see like how much he wanted to be there for me and to play with me, like it meant a lot to me, and to like kind of push me to keep going and keep working hard. Like my dad he's struggling, but he still wants to be there for me, and he's still doing things he's doing to be there for me. So like, why can't I work hard? Why can't I do more? And so like anytime I need anything, I don't know if he missed a game in college, like he was always there supporting me, him and my mom, and I mean them two has just really been supporting me through it all. So instill that hard work and then just play the right way, be a good person.
You remember that day when you were gimping up and down the court?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, because
you're like, which day? I
yeah, I remember. Because basically Lifetime had a rule where you had to be a certain age, but then they wouldn't let you play on the court unless your dad also played.
Okay.
So at first I was there because I had to, and then they were like, "Oh, we don't really need your dad anymore." So
Derrick's fine by himself.
Derrick was fine by himself. So it was just to get him out there. I could go around, I could set screens, and get a rebound and then pass the ball to him. So that's how it worked.
it had to be tough for you, watching him in high school, watching him in college. He's right down the road, and for you, he's able to support you at those games. When you get into the league, what's the situation there of you and your wife not necessarily being able to be at every game like you were for your whole lives? And then here in Boston, it's the same thing. Obviously, you're out here now, which is awesome. You're here for a week or so to be able to catch this homestand, but it had to have been tough for you that adjustment of not seeing him play in person every game.
Yeah, but League Pass comes in handy. So that
Mark,
that's
don't underestimate the role of the announcers and the play-by-play people in the NBA at delivering the product in a way that makes everybody happy.
No, you listen to the Celtics radio, right?
Whatever it is.
I always look for. Though. Those are the calls like after the game when they have highlights and stuff. I want the radio thing because Sean and Cedric. I mean that was it. I mean. We would hear those when we were like with the Spurs or whatever, and the excitement and stuff that Sean and said bring to the broadcasts are great. And then just to hear him make a shot or whatever, and then to hear them, that's you can't put a price on that. So yeah, after games, I look for the highlights just to hear the audio.
And League Pass got you through when you weren't able to be at the games for well, actually throughout his whole career at this point, right? Any of those games?
Yeah. We usually plan some things based on schedule. So like if in Boston, if they have like a homestand, it fits. And then this one kind of really fit because it had the Spurs and the Nuggets. And so that, those are things. Or back to back. Like last year we went to Charlotte. So it's like, so I don't know if we'd be traveling much more because, in Charlotte, when we finally got into the arena at Charlotte, and that's when he ran into Marcus Smart. And I was like, whoa, we did all this to get here, and then he's out. Oh, he's probably not going to play the next game. But he ended up
At least
playing.
He got the family time.
Yeah, so yeah.
I played.
Yeah, there you go. You usually do.
Mark, you know what I thought when I found out FlexCar was going to be our new sponsor?
No, what'd you think?
I don't know. I don't know what I thought.
Neither did I, but then I went and checked it out.
And
it's basically a car subscription, and you choose the mileage package that fits you best, and that's it.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
it's honestly pretty cool. And it includes roadside assistance 24/7, car insurance, and maintenance. It's all included.
In one bill?
All in one bill. The only thing that is not included is the gas you put in the tank. And on top of that, it's cheaper. It's like 10 to 20% cheaper than buying or leasing a car. And what are you doing right now?
I'm finding my next car.
All right, well, if you're doing that, make sure you use the code Rafters, and you'll get 100 free miles when you sign up.
What's funny is that your social media star began to rise for the famous play that all of us play-by-play guys couldn't call when it happened.
Yes.
And here's something you don't know. The next night before Game 7, Kevin Harlan, Dave Pash, and I had dinner here in the North End, and my poor wife had to listen to the three play-by-play guys commiserate about the fact that we couldn't call the play because nobody had any idea what had happened. Where were you for Game 6, and what inspired you to send the tweet that you sent?
Oh, oh my God. Yeah, that's my boy. That's my boy. So, I was sitting on the couch and we were watching the game, and it was like, oh no, I can't believe that, Jimmy Butler made 3 free throws. It's like, you make 2 overtime, we take a chance or whatever, but he makes 3, and it was like, oh boy. So we were sitting on the couch, and we just watched the whole play unfold, and Colin's going, oh, what's going to happen? Derrick's going to inbound because they put your best passer is going to inbound. So he's going to inbound. And this has happened numerous times or whatever, even in San Antonio, because he would inbound it to DeMar DeRozan, and then he would slide off, and I kept going, well, maybe this time the pass will come back because he spotted up to shoot the 3, which is nerve-wracking as a parent because then it's either going to go in or it's not. But then when he didn't get the pass, I saw him dart from the corner, and Smart's shot was just perfect. It just bounced. If it bounced to the right, JT makes it, and my Twitter following takes a hit. But it bounces to the left. Derrick's right there, and I'm like, yeah, he got that up. I followed that along. I was looking for everything. I was looking for your call, and you say, and we don't know. So I was like, oh, okay. And then the national broadcast did the slow by slow, and then it was like that's out of his hands, and
just enough. What was that moment like for you, man? I mean, I know what it was like for me. Exhilarating. I was like, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in basketball. What did it feel like to make that play?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I felt like I got it off as soon as it happened, but you never really know.
Right.
You know, like everybody was coming up to me and was like, "Did you get off?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." And then like it was just silent in the gym for that little split second. Like everybody's looking up at the jumbotron, and then as soon as that first replay showed it, I got it off. Like just the team running to me and just celebrating with me, and I mean, at the time it was like, man, we live to fight another day. So at the moment it was just crazy. I don't really know how to really explain it. Just in the right place at the right time, and I was just happy that we got another game and we kept fighting. So just celebrating with the teammates, and just probably that little split second where everybody was just kind of looking up at the jumbotron is something I'll always remember.
So that's it for the Celtics starters who came on the podcast this season. But let's turn the clock back and bring on some champions. That's right. Let's turn it back to 2008. We had an episode with 3 of the players from that 08 championship team: Paul Pierce, Sam Cassell, who's now an assistant coach, and Eddie House, who is an analyst for NBC Sports Boston. They all came on together, and this podcast episode was all about stories. These guys were reliving the glory days back in the day, and what's the one thing that team was known for? It was smack talk, and they were even talking smack during this episode, so you got to listen to this segment. They're talking about how these guys used to rattle off all these jokes and smack talk throughout the games to each other on the practice court, and then on top of that, Sam Cassell tells an awesome story about after the championship was won, he hunted down the game ball from Cedric Maxwell and Glenn Big Baby Davis. He said he had to have that ball, and he had to give it to one particular player on the team just a couple months down the line. From the moment that I got here, the best part of being at practices was just seeing you guys chirping. Like exactly what just happened down there 14, 15 years later. You guys got to tell me, like, what is that all about? Like, how does that come out? What are some of the best stories that you remember of you guys getting into each other's ears, like on the court, just competing amongst yourselves? We're not even talking about another color team out there.
Right. I got a story. So first time I ever met him was just like that right there.
Yeah.
So I was at the pump camp. He was a counselor. I was there. I'm working out late night. It's probably like 12:30 at night. You and Jay Crow slide in, and I'm there with this dude, and we talking. I didn't know him from a can of paint. I just knew who he was from Hooping Streets and Smith. Remember that magazine back in the day? I knew him from that, but it's just who we are. You know, basketball is, you got to talk a little shit. You know, it's just part of it, and you know, it's a respectful line that you got to toe. You know, you can cross the line with it, or you can stay within the lines. And for the most part, we stay within the lines. We do talk crazy, but it's within the lines. It's all in the spirit of the game, though. You know, to bring out the best, bring out competition. And if you could throw a guy off talking shit doing it and you get the dub, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the win. So that's just the way it was. That's just the way it is, and it's been like that forever.
I'm going to say this. We all come from a culture to we played in the streets growing up. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's what street basketball was. You know, that was when you went outside and you played a pickup game against random people you don't know, and it's a lot of just talking. Grown men talking like young whippersnapper this, or if you wasn't this.
Everyone's trying to be alpha.
That was the culture of outdoor playground basketball. Mm-hmm. And so we just brought that. We come from that culture, and so we just brought that to the hardwood. And that's just what we grew up on, and so that's why all of us was probably like that.
It was sometimes in 08 when we be in the locker room before practice even start, and the first unit be talking mad cash shit to us, and like Paul was like, y'all don't want it, and we'd go back at him, we'd start talking trash back to him, and Doc would come down. Now we get on the court, and before practice, Doc would come downstairs and hear us going back and forth at each other. I mean, just going back and forth, and Kev would say, Doc, man, let's get at it right now. And Doc, like, what you mean? Like
5 on 5, let's go.
Let's 5 on 5, let's just go. Let's get it cracking. And the whole head just take his practice plan, just tear it up and say, come on, 8-play game. We're going to go 10 8-play games. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like down, back, down, game, down, back, game. Game. We go that for like 1 hour. And when we won, when the second unit won, It was a damn parade around there. It was parade around there. We throwing towels, we throwing water bottles in the locker room, and Kevin Paul coming there.
Long face.
They long face. And they want to say that. We give him a hug. Give me a hug, man. Mobutu. Give me a hug, Ted. And they be hot. They be hot. But that's the competition we had with each other. We knew that, like Eddie said, if we make them better by playing hard, and we knew what they was going to run. Like Doc used to always have it saying, in the playoff, we're not going to trick no one. They're going to know what our plays, we're going to know their plays. We knew they was going to run slice roll with Paul. How can we stop it? And Doc, that's the essence of a great team. When you know what a team running and you can't stop it, it's degrading to a team.
Yeah.
It's degrading. But the competition, man, and the family atmosphere we had, man, that's why we all get together now. That when you win a championship in any kind of professional sport, you will never lose that bond with each other. I don't care if it's football, baseball, basketball. I don't know too much about hockey, but I'm just telling you the sports that I grew up with and knowing, like these are my brothers for life. You know, these are anytime I saw Leon Pohl up there, these are my brothers. These are my Ubuntu brothers for life. Something happened to them, I hope nothing don't happen to them. I'll feel fucked up inside because what we've been through as teammates meant so much to us. And when I got my Celtics championship ring, and I won 2 championships in Houston, I got that Celtics championship ring, not a knock on the Houston championships, they was wonderful, but winning a championship ring in Boston with the Celtics, crazy.
Remember how he chased the ball down?
Got that joint. Got that joint.
He was doing it.
I heard about this.
Give me that thing.
And cornbread
If you watch the replay, he was moving.
He tells the story all the time.
I blew everybody around. And the ball ended up in his hand. I got the ball, ladies and gentlemen.
Tell us the story for the fans who don't know the story, because Max tells it all the time when he's sitting in the media room before a game, but I want to hear from your perspective.
Well, at the end of the game,
this is the championship
the
game that you guys
6,
won.
Yep. Game 6, and Big Baby had the ball. He just takes the ball and throw it sky high in the air, and he don't understand what having a championship ball with the Celtics mean. He's a rookie. He don't understand.
Big Baby didn't understand.
He don't understand having a game ball, a championship game ball, and winning with the Celtics. When he threw the ball in the air, I'm on the bench. I'm just running. And I'm just moving people around. And the ball bounced. I'm chasing people, running on the court and everything. Players run. I'm just moving everybody. And the ball ended up to Cedric hand. He on the mic. I got the ball, ladies and gentlemen. And I went up to him and said, man, give me this goddamn ball. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
You need that. You did too much work.
I didn't give me this ball.
He did way too much
ball
work.
meant. You know what I'm saying? So I got it, cuffed it, you know. So I was gonna keep it for myself, but I knew it was Kevin Garnett, the first championship, and that was my guy, you know. And I just gave it to him one day. Just gave it to him, and I want it back, but he won't give it back to me.
He said, I want it back.
Oh, that's a good one.
You see that at KG's house when you go over there? Is that on
I didn't know
display?
KG had it. I thought Sam had it all this year.
Me too.
I gave it to him. I
didn't know.
Not right away, but I gave it to him. I just gave it to him.
All right, if you are watching this on YouTube, you've probably scrolled through all of the episodes this season, and you've probably seen that one of our most viewed of the season was our episode with Neemias Queta, the 7-foot center from Portugal. He is the very first player from Portugal to ever make it into the NBA and play a game, and this year he's played a lot of games for the Boston Celtics as a two-way player. He told stories about him growing up in Portugal, but this particular segment that we pulled for the greatest hits was when he talked about how he wound up in Utah State, of all places, from Portugal, and how he wound up actually being teammates with Danny Ainge's son, Jrue Ainge, out in Utah.
Well, that then, to me, begs the biggest question I have, which is, you grow up watching EuroLeague, largely, right? You're on that track. So not only do you choose to go to college, you go to college in Utah, which to me, after growing up where we've just discussed you grew up, that's like going to Mars to do something. I'm going to play, instead of going pro in that natural wave with Spain there in the EuroLeague, you're going to play college basketball in the U.S., in Utah. It's almost like you say, let me have the exact opposite experience I could possibly have.
No, not really. It's if you think about it, it makes sense what you're saying, but also like I gotta put you in perspective. You know, like back in the day, like I could have gone pro and played in Europe, but at the same time, I felt like it was a harder way to get to the NBA, and I felt like it wasn't really going to benefit me as much, you know. Like I felt like I didn't have as much exposure over there. I felt like the college route would be way better for me in terms of exposure for NBA teams. So I just felt like it was if I had a right situation to go in college where I could play minutes and be in a good. Went and checked out my family back in Portugal, and also I had one guy that went to school with my older sister playing on the team at Utah State too. So I literally had everything to go. Everything was going the right way to go to Utah State, and it ended up working out great. So here I am.
So I'm joking about the beaches, but traveling halfway around the world, leave your family at that age, that had to be daunting. Were they behind you? Were they supportive of this idea? Did you ever go back and forth, or were you like, you know what, this is me?
No, obviously my family wanted me to stay closer than them, but they kind of understood that there was a good plan in mind. Like we had a good structure, a good chemistry going to do that. So I felt like they was always on my side. It was hard and tough because I wasn't able to go home on big holidays or only one time a year, you know. But it is what it is, and I felt like sometimes you got to make sacrifices for what you want, you know.
And newsflash, it worked, right? Here you are a few years later. But one thing that most people are not going to know is that this is kind of full circle for you, right? You're here with the Celtics, but when you arrived at Utah State, there was another tie to the Celtics that was there on the team with you, right? Crew Ainge,
correct.
Danny Ainge's son, was playing for the team. What was that like to randomly kind of interact with him? And we know Crew, he's been around here for years, but just being able to meet him and kind of have that connection to the Celtics from the second you got to Utah State.
Yeah, it's funny how it comes out first full circle because we've always been connected from the moment I got there. Crew's always been one of my good guys, and he always try to help me with what he knew about this type of world, what was kind of needed for me to get there, you know. So it felt like it was a really good situation for me, and look at us now. I'm pretty sure he put in work, you know.
Yeah, and listen, I heard from someone in the grapevine here in this building that when you got there, Crew sent a text message and said, "Hey, a first-round pick just arrived. Like, this guy is an NBA player."
Yeah.
And this was, like, right when you walked onto campus. How do you think you made that impression that long ago when, I mean, you weren't that long into playing basketball, right? Probably, like, 7-8 years at that point?
Yeah, I feel like it was just maybe I think it was the way I came in at practice or
blocking shots and
through
the walls.
I felt like not a lot of people knew of me. I wasn't like a 5-star recruit, 3-star recruit, whatever it was. Like I came from overseas, like out of nowhere. Nobody really was expecting much out of me, and all of a sudden I'm out there like as a freshman and really playing really, really solid minutes on a team that's playing really nicely. So I felt like that all of that helped.
Did you ever see Danny at the games? Ever talk to him?
No. I'd never seen him out there, but I met him already.
All right.
Yeah.
If you know Danny, he saw you.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that.
I'm pretty sure.
Young players shot blockers, they say, are born, not made. Did you feel instinctively you had enough of a feel for the game that you were going to be a shot blocker right away, or was that something in college once you got there? All right, I'm starting to see how the game is played. I'm starting to feel that I can become a shot blocker.
I wouldn't say I really was a shot blocker from an early age. I feel like I picked it up as I got more coordinated, as I got bigger and stronger, and I moved better on the court. But I feel like the fundamentals of basketball, like I was able to play like different positions growing up because everybody caught up with me height-wise, and I had to be versatile defensively and a little bit offensively. So I feel like those are the things I'm really good at. But the shot blocking, it came with time and like getting reps. I feel like once I got to college, the positioning, like the film, the study, the weight room, all of that helped me just to get a lot better at it. And I feel like it's been with me ever since I got to college with that.
Paul Pierce came on multiple episodes this season. You already saw the one where he came on with Eddie House and Sam Cassell. But this next one, we turn the clock back even farther. How about 1999? When him and Antoine Walker became teammates, and just a few short years later, after they were broken up, Pierce had to watch Antoine win a championship down in Miami. Was he jealous? No. He actually flew out to Chicago to party with Antoine all weekend long, so that's what we highlight in this segment. And then after that, Paul Pierce actually says, hey, listen, you might think that the Golden State Warriors were the team who started this three-point barrage and making this be a trend in the NBA. No. It was us. It was him and Antoine who were jacking up threes back in the early 2000s and setting the trend for the type of basketball that we see played across the NBA nowadays. So one of the things that I'm most interested about is particularly for you, Paul, because you guys come in a couple years apart. You're kind of growing with each other. You get to the conference finals and, things are looking okay. And then Antoine gets traded. Just a couple short years later, you're seeing him on a contender, playing with Shaq and D. Wade and Gary Payton and all these guys. What are you thinking when you're like, man, why can't I have that?
No,
like, there had to be something along those lines.
To be honest, I was so happy for Twan to have that opportunity because when I was going to some games during that run, I was flying to Miami, like going to some games, ask them. And then when they won it, I flew to Chicago. I didn't even go to my hotel, checked in, and met him at the restaurant. And congratulated him, and we had dinner. I was so happy because I felt like I won too. You know what I'm saying? I was so happy for him. It was just like, damn, man, I'm happy for him. I flew to Chicago. We partied that whole weekend. It was amazing because I felt like, I was a part of that, for some reason because, that's how our relationship was. I'll stay in Miami. He let me use the car. Boom, I go to some games. And it was an amazing feeling just to see one of us get that because we wanted to do it together.
Do we want to know what the party looked like that weekend?
There was a lot of bottles popped.
Did it feel, Twan, after 2002? Like, all right, we got this. This team is going to win a championship. We're there. Because, again, you don't know what you don't know when you're that age. When you get to Game 6 of the conference finals, did it feel like, all right, we're on track here. We got this?
Oh, without question. And we felt like we was right there. But we knew when you look at who we lost to, New Jersey, how good they was. I just think from top to bottom, roster-wise, they had a little bit more depth than us. We called Jason Kidd at the prime of his career playing.
But you know what the funny thing about that? We beat them like 3 times during the regular season. In the regular season. So I promise you, when we played New Jersey, I just knew we was going to the finals.
Yeah, I thought we was too. And we was confident in that. I just think, personnel-wise, from top to bottom, we just wasn't deep enough. I think they had, they probably went 10 deep where, with us, we was probably more 7. And me and Paul had to play out our minds. We couldn't afford to have a bad night.
And they also,
they spread it out
to your point before, they also had some guys who had gone through that process before, right? Like you guys are just doing it for the first time.
Run.
Yeah.
This is our first playoff run.
Well, you got to think, and then that team obviously went to the finals back-to-back, against the Lakers. So, so they like we lost to a team that wasn't the best team in the Eastern Conference. So we felt good about that. We felt like we were right there knocking on the door. We knew the roster needed to change a little bit. We had to get some guys around me and Paul that kind of fit our skill set. And obviously they went in a different direction, which was fine. Now, when you look back at it, the direction ended up turning to obviously the Celtics winning, being a championship contender 3-4 years down the line. So they obviously it seemed like the right move, but that's where it was at. We needed to get a little bit more better, a little bit more deeper. The teams that were on top had more depth than us.
But this is my thing. We had 2 All-Stars. Like, it's hard for teams to get 2 All-Stars, perennial All-Stars at the time. Especially then.
Yeah.
So I just thought we should have built on that. I thought we needed a point guard who could knock down shots from long range. And I'll say like that's all we always talked about. That's all we need. I remember us talking about maybe we can get a guy like Gilbert Arenas or it was another guard we was looking at or something. If we felt like if we had to build on that, we could have won. I mean, like I said, that was the model that back then. You got 2 All-Stars. You add some good, solid pieces around
You're
that.
in good shape.
You in good shape for a little while to be a contender in the Eastern Conference.
So when it happened, what's going through your minds? Like when the trade, when Antoine got shipped out, like what's going through you guys' minds in that moment?
I thought I was next.
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought I was next. I felt like, new ownership, new general manager, everybody like to put a stamp on, their time with the team and make their own mark and not rely on the last regimen to fill in. So I thought I was next. And so it looked like they was cleaning house. Guys was getting traded left and right. You trade a guy, all-star, a franchise guy, it's like, shoot, I look like I'm out of here too.
Well, I thought we was close. Obviously I was really upset about the trade, and because I felt like after making a deep run, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, me and Paul had figured out we was at a premium of how we knew how to play with each other. We knew how to push each other. We felt like we was right there. Like you said, we could have added another guard maybe at the time. We felt like we could. That was the missing ingredient probably to get us over the hump. But it's Danny's first time being GM. He comes in. I was upset. We wanted to stay together. He wanted to go in a different direction, and things like that happen. That's why I was so excited when I came back in 2005, because I felt like it was like kind of like unfinished business. The roster had changed a little bit. Paul was still obviously the man on the team, but you had some other pieces around on a team that we didn't have when I was here. I thought that team should have stayed together, even though I know we got upset in the first round against the Pacers. But I thought a full season with that group, with training camp, with Doc, and where we win? We won like 13 in a row when I got here.
Yeah, it was an 8-game win streak, 1 loss, and then another bunch of wins afterwards. Here's what people forget about 2005.
And I got hurt.
You got hurt.
Yep.
The loss in 2005 was to Indiana. The Pacers were the preseason favorite. They were a lower seed because that was the year of the brawl at the Palace. And they had everybody suspended. That's why they dropped down. Celtics had a home
I forgot
court.
about that.
And the first, it's funny. That's why we're all here, right? Because we don't. I don't know where my. I don't know where
That's
my
why
car.
you're here.
No, here's what. Let me explain to you because you're not.
that.
When we get old, I don't know where my car keys are, but I remember the 04, 05. Like that's how it works. That's what senility is. They have the brawl at the Palace, so instead of winning 60 games and being the number 1 seed, they're the number 5 seed. Celtics had this great year, this great finish. The Celtics are the 4 seed, and suddenly you have to play Indiana in the first round, and that series went. That was a precursor to all the younger fans know the Boston-Miami series where the road team wins. I think the road team won 5 of the 7 games in the series.
Well,
right. You get kicked out in Indiana.
I got kicked out. I mean, that series was crazy.
Yeah. You know what's so funny that we talk about Antoine trade? It was a lot of people saying that we couldn't win with that style of play because we shot a lot of threes.
Yeah,
remember that? They said we couldn't win. I think
way ahead of your time.
This is the Godfather.
Way ahead of your time.
They said we couldn't win with that style of play. Now we're in an era where that's the style
you
of play.
have to play that style.
You have to play that style.
You got to have 3-point shooting.
I mean, we shot 30, 40 threes a game, and they was like, you can't win that way.
Yeah.
Now look where we are 20 years later.
You better shoot 40
What did this
minimum.
man famously say when they said, why did you shoot so many threes?
Because no 4-pointers.
Because they don't have 4s.
But I got to give our style. I give it to Jim O'Brien. A lot of people don't give him a lot of credit for that. And but when Jim O'Brien took over, he basically gave me and Paul the green light. And he told me, shoot 10 a game.
Yeah,
you know
that's
I mean?
the way they played down. That's the crazy thing about it.
Our best offense was Paul posting up, me passing it into him, and you either going to double Paul, you don't double him. That's a basket. At double him, I'm going to shoot the 3. I mean, that was our best play.
We spread the court, and we just drive and kick. That's what they do today, pick and roll.
These games, Mark, I'm calling like Antoine with his 5th 3 of the game, like he's just hit 5 home runs. Now guys get 5 threes. It's like, it's his 5th 3 of the game, no big deal.
Right.
It was a game, like when Sheed came in here, Sheed had a game early in that season when he made 6 threes, and it was like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing ever. And now that's just like average day at the ballpark.
Right.
All right, that's a wrap on our greatest hits episode of the season. But as I told you, the season is not over. We still have at least one more episode coming out next week. We are recording live from Encore Boston Harbor on Thursday, February 29th. We've got a prominent Celtics player coming on that podcast as a guest. I'm not going to tell you who it is, so you're going to have to tune in and find out who that is next week. And then we are hoping, fingers crossed, that we may have one more bonus episode, an epic bonus episode coming out sometime before the NBA playoffs arrive in April. So that's the plan for the rest of the season. But before I wrap today, I got to say on behalf of myself, Abby Chin, and Sean Grandy, and our producer, John Picard, we are so thankful for every single one of you for tuning in, for giving us a listen throughout the season. We wouldn't be here without you. So thank you very much, and we can't wait to see you next week.